This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're working on a Whirlpool dryer that needs to have the motor replaced. So we're going to take out the filter and we're going to remove two Phillips head screws from underneath the filter, and these are part of what holds the top panel on. So we're going to remove those screws, and then once we get them out we can pry up the front panel from the top. I'm going to also unplug it, turn off the power, so no chance of getting shocked. And we're going to lift up the front of the dryer and hinge the top back. There's little clips on the front about 1 inch in from the right, 1 inch in from the left. You have to push with a paint scraper. Sometimes you can just grab the panel and just pull it towards you and it'll release. I'm going to undo the lid switch modular connector. I used a little standard head screwdriver to do that. I'm going to take out two screws here on the right and left side that are holding the front panel on. So I'm going to zip those out. Now I can lift up on the front panel and I can pick that up and just put it off to the side, get it out of the way. And next thing I'll do is I'll unloosen the belt. So I'm going to push in on the idler wheel to take a little tension off and then pull the belt off of the motor pulley. And now the belt is off and I can grab the whole tumbler assembly and belt and just lift it off. I usually use the belt to help me lift these things off. And I'll get this whole big tumbler out of the way. It's just sitting on a couple of wheels in the back. So once I get that out of the way, I'll have access to the motor, and the motor is actually pretty easy to replace. So I'm going to remove this clip that's holding on the back of the motor. I'm going to put a standard head screwdriver in and just push down to release this clip, and that exposes a plastic nut that I can grab with my crescent wrench. I'm going to have the crescent wrench resting against something. I'm going to grab the front pulley and I'm going to turn righty-tighty. But instead of going righty-tighty, it's going to loosen it because it's reverse threaded. So I use my vice grips to pull real hard to the right until it let go, and then I'm just spinning the shaft off of a blower wheel that's, you can't see it, but it's on the other side of this column, and that will allow me to have the motor let go. So I've got the two clips off the motor, I spun it off, and now I'm going to take the electrical connector off of the motor. So this old motor, the bearings were shot. It was really noisy. So we got a brand new motor. Get that in position. Put our electric connector on. Just a modular connector. We just snap it on. And we're going to take the threaded shaft, the longer shaft, we're going to put that into the plastic nut on the blower wheel. And we're going to turn lefty-tighty. So we're turning to the left, which is weird, but that's what tightens it. I'm going to set it down on its little brackets, and then there's two spring-loaded clips I have to put on to hold it into position. Here's the one on the front, so I put it into position, and I take a standard head screwdriver and I push down to lock it in. I usually give it like a tap with my fist to lock it in. I'll do that same thing on the back here. I'll remove the crescent wrench that was holding that plastic nut. Oh wait, I'll tighten it first. So I'm going to go lefty-tighty. Get that tight, then we'll get that crescent wrench out of there. We'll put on the back clip. So it spins good. Yeah, the old one, the bearings were just shot, so it was super noisy. So I use my standard head screwdriver to push down to get that clip to lock in. Give it a hammer fist. Okay, so the motor's all done. We're just going to put it all back together. Get all this stuff out of here. And we're going to put this little friendly cat first. We're going to put the tumbler back into position. We'll lift it up by the belt. Get it to rest back on the support wheels. And then I like to put something underneath the tumbler. I'm using my little fastener box to hold up the tumbler. And I'm going to tighten up the belt. I'm going to put it back over the motor pulley. Get my little box out of there, and then I'll put my front panel back on. So this clip has to fit into the bottom of the front panel on the lower right and lower left corner. And I've got to push my front panel into the front of the tumbler before I push the front panel in. I got to get it hooked up to the tumbler, and then I got to set it down on those clips. I'll put the 2 screws back in, hold on the front panel, and then I'll put the lid switch or door switch connector back together. Get these all tight. And you're just going to spin it to make sure the belt's not going to come off. Make sure it's all in the right position. Looks good. I'll lower the upper panel. Just hinge it back down. Make sure it sits on the front clips. And then I'm going to put in the 2 Phillips head screws underneath the screen housing. That kind of holds the front panel down. And I'll plug it back in, put the filter back in, set it, and it sounds great. No more screeching. It's a pretty easy job, spinning really good, and we have a good, healthy dryer again. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.